Who's searching for something under the pavilions in X Park? It's the burly guys from the State Bureau of Investigations and the prosecutor's office on the second year of the war are looking for foundations under the temporary structures and checking the waste disposal systems in Kyiv's X Park. The park staff is already joking that it looks like they're searching for moles underground. We received this video from our mobilized employee with the call sign yellow. 3 minutes ago, two S-300 missiles hit. The dust is still hanging in the air, and there are two 12-meter craters nearby. Overall, the Russians hit them with 12 missiles. This is our way out. Ilya, are you okay? I'm fine. No one is injured? That's where we slept. And there used to be a wall here.
Так, в аккуратке фундамент клали 200 спинам. Я ебаться не хочу. Як нахуй, что у нас дырочка там не скрывалась. Все могло там нахуй делать.
The Russian missiles have already found the foundations and hit very close by the area where our guys from X Park are located, who are fighting at the front in the armed forces of Ukraine. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, investigators from the State Bureau of Investigations are driving flashy cars and using very expensive phones. They are fabricating worthless, politically motivated cases and trying to find evidence to punish our company. While the enemies are destroying Ukrainian lands, entire cities and towns, they are looking for an excuse to take away someone's business in the rear. Although, in fact, our company finances them with its taxes. The state spends 2,420,000,000 hryvnias on SBI per year, while the people are collecting every penny for drones. We are soldiers of the 54th Mechanized Brigade. We are appealing to the Ukrainian people to collect parts for FPV quadcopters for strike missions. Activists from the Automaidan, athletes, and employees of X Park are fighting at the front. The management of X Park keeps the team of the enterprise and performs important military tasks from the fortified area and the drone range to the events that will become known, probably, only after the victory. For a year and a half now, X Park has been fighting on two fronts, against the Russians and against the internal enemy, pro-government deputies, SBI, prosecutors, and judges. But let's return to the search for foundations and capital structures. Here it is 91 centimeters. Capital construction. Now we will draw a conclusion. The video footage shows a State Bureau of Investigations employee hinting for the expert to say that the structure is supposedly permanent. But the expert, seeing such a desire of the SBI employee, evades the answer. We are currently at the location where the SBI, along with representatives of the authorities, were digging for something. It turns out they were trying to find the foundations of a permanent structure, but it is clearly visible that there is a special gap here, left for all the officials who want to force us to pay them a bribe to understand that there are no capital buildings here. Let's reassure you right away. The official state examination has long confirmed that all structures in X Park are do not classified as permanent, and we will prove this in court, which corresponds to our flawed investment agreement. You should also know that all over the world, wake parks are built with full-fledged capital buildings for comfort and convenience for residents and athletes. Our authorities have introduced incomprehensible restrictions for water sports facilities. We are forced to build wake parks in so-called chicken coops and containers. We try to create beauty and comfort from shit and sticks, but even that is attacked by law enforcement officers. It would seem that even a non-professional can see that the structures are temporary, but the SBI and the prosecutor, who have a specific task to find at least something illegal, do not want to see this. We use piles, supports, geoscrews, wooden and metal frames, sandwich panels, EPS with foam, wood, and metal profiles with glass. everything related to light and non-capital structures. Can you say that this is a capital structure if it stands on such beams? Some of our buildings look quite nice, which immediately causes a suspicious reaction of civil servants. A good location, a good building also looks like a capital one. It sounds like a box made of OSB. Such a wooden one. We even left a gap between the ground and the floor to allow for airflow, so that even the most clueless person would understand, but even that didn't help. They keep digging. But the country aspires to Europe. We want to create world-class wake parks, but our flawed legislation does not allow for the construction of permanent structures in the infrastructure of wake parks. Through joint efforts, we managed to amend the water code and introduce water sports facilities into the coastal zones. Now we need to amend the urban planning restrictions to allow for the construction of permanent structures in water sports and active recreation zones for residents, just like in Europe. Because even an Olympic freestyle ramp, which is essential for Ukraine, we cannot build due to these construction restrictions, even though we have the investments. That's why our athletes are forced to train abroad and pay to rent ramps for the economies of other countries. Moreover, there is a striking example in Ukraine. Leading the way is the city of Dnipro, where a wonderful permanent wake park infrastructure has already been developed. Permanent structures, cafes, changing rooms, training rooms, equipment areas, rental services, briefing zones, and administrative offices. Everything looks very nice and modern. Nearby, there is a large 5-story premium restaurant. And across the street, the city has set up a public shelter. I am impressed by the city of Dnipro. Residents have the opportunity to train in high-quality conditions at European-level locations. And the Dnipro authorities and investors deserve huge respect from the entire water sports community. You have together created a European-level infrastructure for wakeboarding in the most challenging conditions of bureaucracy and law enforcement abuse. It's inspiring to see that there is competent municipal leadership in Ukraine that finds opportunities to create such European-level locations. The city of Dnipro is also famous for its water sports and active recreation area called Bartolomeo. The permanent structures, hotels, and restaurants have also been fully approved by the city, and the SBI and the prosecutor's office don't interfere with them, and they don't dig up the foundations. As a result, the locations are beautiful, and it has become a favorite spot for the residents of Dnipro. The owner of Bartolomeo talked about prosecutor Volodymyr Shuba, who has terrorized and demanded bribes from Bartolomeo, but he accidentally shot himself in a storage facility. In this city, only the political will of the municipality and the influence of the owner have provided the opportunity for development. We need to ensure that such opportunities exist in all wake parks, cities, and towns. The selectivity of the legislation is evident in the abuse of power, property seizures, and the fact that just 300 meters from X Park, there are actual permanent hangars of the helicopter pad built in 2017. Right by the river. Neither the SBI nor the prosecutor's office don't dig up foundations or seize buildings. They are only interested in the toilets, cafes, and pavilions at X Park, highlighting the biased and selective nature of their actions of law enforcement and judges. If we want Ukraine to be as developed as Europe, then we must demand from the authorities to create conditions for businesses and comfort for citizens. Therefore, we write appeals, sign petitions, and demand changes to the laws. Until we change this by ourselves, nothing will change. As experience shows, the authorities can only make things worse and create conditions for officials and law enforcement, for coercion, bribery, and raiding. Entrepreneurs need to unite to counter the abuse and raiding by state criminal groups are uniting in a community called Manifest 42, forming their own bloc, Business NATO. where an attack on one person is equal to an attack on all members. For us, this is Code 303. The authorities are attacking business, and this is the only way we will defeat this pack of rear rats attacking business. Let's unite and win together. We have to restore Ukraine.